wanted to tell stories for businesses. And the only way I was going to be able to do that and choose whatever the advertising medium is.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Law of Business podcast, where I interview entrepreneurs that can help you to start and grow your business. I'm your host Jamil Jama, and our special guest today is PaulPotratz. And PaulPotratz is an experienced entrepreneur and consultant. PaulPotratz has over 20 years of experience as an entrepreneur, and with no assistance and a self-starter attitude, he started his own advertising agency in 2003. Now, Potratz Advertising is an authority in the automotive industry as a full-service agency that specializes in digital marketing. And now, PaulPotratz uses his knowledge for helping entrepreneurs through their journey. He uses his knowledge to help entrepreneurs through their journey. So it's a real pleasure to welcome PaulPotratz on the show. Paul, thank you so much for being here. How's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it today.
So, Paul, you've got a real interesting bio. You've got 20 years of experience. And so this is going to be a real awesome interview. And in this interview, we're going to be talking about advertising, marketing, and entrepreneurship, because you've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years and you specialize in advertising and marketing, right?
Yep. Well, advertising, marketing, social media, just really anything to grow a business. And I generally, use the term marketing more so than advertising, because advertising is really a short-term focus. It's just like running an ad, versus marketing is a strategy.
Yeah. And you also write for Forbes every week. PaulPotratz also writes for Forbes every single week, right? Right, Paul?
Yep. Yeah. So, yep. So I'm a contributor to Forbes magazine, and kind of an interesting approach with that too, because they approached me about writing for the magazine. I said, well, I really do a lot of videos. I've been doing video for a number of years because it takes time for me to sit down and write and all that. And, kind of the squirrel mentality, I'll, kind of lose focus. So I said, if I'm going to do a video, I can do it and I can get it done. And so they said, all right, well, that sounds, actually awesome. So can you do a video and written? I was like, so we got the best of both worlds on the articles every week.
So you vlog for Forbes as well?
Yep, it's a vlog, but I've definitely learned over the years that there's a number of people that would like to read versus watch a video, or they don't have they're commuting and they can't really stream the video. So I have to do both. So it's a written article plus it's also a video.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Because I don't know too much about this, but the brain processes the information differently from reading, also from watching, and also from hearing. So we need to do all three.
Sight, sound, and motion. So yeah, that's what the video is going to give you. But I know personally, like when I'm reading, it allows me to think more and think, like when I'm reading a book or an article, that going through it, then I can start to think about, how can I apply that to my business? So I think reading is much more of a relaxing, I guess a relaxing approach to learn, because it just allows that thinking of how you can apply it, versus video, especially if you're doing my videos, because I really push through high energy. And I don't mean yelling, but it's just really an editing style and the delivery style that I try to keep it going really fast. So it really pulls somebody in. So all they can focus on is really the strategy, the words, what I'm telling them. Because all of my videos are all about, teaching, like how to grow your Instagram followers to 10,000, or how to grow your email list, or how to use social media, or how to vlog. So, all my videos with Forbes and articles are all how-tos for entrepreneurs.
The good thing about reading as well is that you get to use your imagination.
Yes.
In videos, you can use your imagination, but you can actually see the people, so you can't make your own imagination about them.
I agree. And and that's where, I'll spend time doing both. I'll watch videos, but it seems like when you watch a video, there's a few things that's happening for the individual that's watching the video. They automatically think, okay, I've got to do it this way, that they want the ABC, they want a recipe when you watch a video. But when you read, you're able to start to use that imagination and saying, okay, now how am I going to do this? How am I going to apply? At least that's the way I do it. But when I'm reading or when I'm thinking about things, I see things in pictures, and not everybody, not everyone does that. I mean, a lot of us do, but not everyone. So it's just, you have to understand, who are you as an individual? Do you see pictures or do you see words?
And Paul, before you started vlogging and writing articles for Forbes, you've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years, right?
Yeah, I would really say longer than that. And the reason being, I mean, and we all have the stories like when we were young and we were growing up, and when I was growing up, my family wasn't that well off. Let's just, put it that way. So
yeah, I was going to ask you, what did you do before you started your own business?
I did a lot of things. I mean, I'm a high school dropout, and ninth grade is when I left high school because I just wasn't doing well there. And so I sold mobile phones for, that was one of my jobs. And that's when, you would go and get a mobile phone and you would have to lease it. And it was like $1.50 a minute. And, I was 17 years old selling mobile phones. And then I used to manage a health food store, a general nutrition center. And I was actually the same time I was selling phones, which I was 17. And then I sold health club memberships. But then when I got serious and started to build a career, the way it really started was my hobby was photography. So I was a photographer for a number of agencies, and I was shooting for like George Magazine, Fitness Magazine, Entrepreneur Magazine. And that led me into marketing and advertising sales. And I managed, I was a salesperson for a radio station, and then went to a TV station and became a sales manager. And then ultimately decided, all right, enough. I'm ready to do my own thing. And that's when I opened the agency in 2003. So
your talent is selling, I guess, because you was selling stuff from a young age.
No, not really I don't think I'm really good at selling. What I am good at is understanding why someone needs something and understanding them as an individual and applying it and letting them make the decision. And I mean, in this time in societies, salesmanship is frowned upon. That if you're a salesperson, you're a shark. You're not a, and I've definitely met some people like that. But I think my strength has always been storytelling, by crafting a story, in an email, writing an email or writing a letter, something to that effect. Or when I'm on stage and I'm presenting to people, I just don't deliver facts. I tell it in stories, real life experiences, so people can visualize it and understand it and apply it to themselves.
That's why I started podcasting, by the way.
Exactly.
Because I used to read books and listen to audios and go to seminars, and most of the things I would learn, I would forget, but the stories would always stick with me.
Yes.
So one day I said to myself, let me start something about storytelling. So let me start interviewing the successful entrepreneurs I know and get their stories. And I was podcasting, and I didn't even know what podcasting was. So that's how I started podcasting from storytelling. So Paul, what made you start your own ad agency?
I've always loved really watching people and studying people and understanding why we do what we do. Why do we make decisions to purchase things, or why do we make decisions to, watch certain videos or read certain books? So, just loving the psychology of it all, of why we do what we do. That's what really made me want to start an ad agency, because I felt like I was so limited when I used to be that radio sales guy, and I'd sell radio advertising, or I would sell TV advertising, because I worked for a couple different companies doing that. But what I enjoyed the most was going into a company and asking the different questions, how many, whatever you're selling. Let's say, you're selling X products. How many are you selling? What is the cost to sell these products? What type of advertising you're doing? What type of, customer client do you have? And building strategies so they can sell more. And that's what I always enjoyed. And the way I would build that strategy is I would create a brand. I would create a story. I would create a story that was relatable, and then whatever the medium was. And I mean, so many times we get so hung up on, social media, radio, TV, newspaper, direct mail, and all those are is just tools to deliver the message. And I was never focused on the tools. I don't care what the strategy is. I could make a business highly successful by just doing advertising on billboards or just by doing advertising on pencils. It doesn't make a difference. It's crafting the story where it's relatable to someone, where they feel like it's either going to save them time, save them money, make them feel sexier or something like that, and creating that separation. So that's what made me want to open up my own ad agency, because I wanted to tell stories for businesses. And the only way I was going to be able to do that and choose whatever the advertising medium is, meaning maybe we're just doing it through email, maybe we're just doing it through Facebook. It doesn't make a difference. I wanted to be able to have that control. And then I got tired of getting fired, because there was, times that I would meet a prospective business owner and I'd say, well, the TV advertising is not right for you. It's just, you don't have the budget. You don't have the showroom to do it, whatever it was. And that message got back too many times and I would get in trouble, and, they would write me up and threaten to fire me. And so finally I said, that's it. I'm done. I'm going to do my own deal.
So Paul, what sort of advertising does your agency do? Is it only digital advertising, or do you do billboards as well, newspapers?
Yeah. When we started in 2003, I was 100% digital, because I always have been a gadget freak. And meaning, advertising on Yahoo and Google and Facebook and classmates.com and YouTube and, on and on. But as time went on, and when I started, it was just me. And then as time went on, I started to add staff, so we were able to support more. And so the short answer is we cover everything, whether it's billboards, whether it's just, email marketing, whether it's just straight out Facebook. But, I have a variety of clients, different types of clients, different budgets. I've got some that their budget's only, $5,000 a month. And I've got others that their budget's $200,000 a month. So what that requires is flexibility in where you're advertising and how you're advertising. So we cover the gamut. I mean, we do TV, we do, streaming TV, but then we do your basic, Google pay-per-click advertising.
And do you do PR as well?
We do a little bit of PR. Most of the PR that goes on is really, it's internal and it's for us. And so what we do for the public relations is we'll do workshops and we teach businesses how to create their own public relations strategy. And I'm a big believer, depending on one's time, on an entrepreneur's time, that with public relations, they really need to build those relationships, because that's where you're going to get the best PR.
And Paul, how will do you do digital? What's it called? Do you do artificial intelligence as well? Does your company?
We do. Yeah, and there's a lot of buzzwords right now, and so artificial intelligence. There's also learning technology too. So we are running digital campaigns. That the digital campaigns through a software is an artificial intelligence, but it's also a learning technology. So what happens is the campaigns get smarter and smarter as they run, as they interact with, real live prospective customers, and they just improve on themselves.
And what impact does that have on your staff? Do you require less staff now because of artificial intelligence? Some of the campaigns, what they'll do too is they will build the ads in real time. So you don't need as many graphic designers to build ads, but it's not as advanced as one would think or one would hope. So when we let the technology build ads on their own, we've seen that conversion, the actual number of leads or phone calls, dropped. So then that's when we had to get back involved on it. So it's not taking less staff. In fact, there's a pretty good learning curve at play. So everyone's trying to learn how to do it, but it also opens up other opportunities, meaning you're having to add more staff. So for example, we had to add more video editors to be able to keep up with it, because we've realized that video definitely has the highest conversion, the highest opportunity. It will increase one's sales, more so than a static ad or a graphic ad. Your ad agency has been around since 2003, so 15 years. Congratulations for that.
Yeah, thank you. And it's, it's been interesting, because when I started the agency in my house and it was just me. And I was trying to do, not trying, I mean, I was doing everything. I was doing, media buying. I was building the campaigns. I was teaching myself how to do video production, graphic design. And part of that was I didn't have the money, so I couldn't really hire people. And then the other part is just my personality of being a control freak and wanting to try to control everything. And then I started.
Would you call it a control freak, or you wanted to be independent? You wanted to learn?
I think it's more of a control issue is what it really was.
Because I do that as well. I do that as well currently, but I'm doing it because I want to have the knowledge. I don't want to just outsource everything.
Yeah, but there's times that, where I've actually had this discussion too, that if I would have gone out, and granted, I didn't have the money, so I wasn't able to do it. But if I would have had, more of a budget to be able to do it, I feel like my company would have grown faster if I would have been able to bring people in that were really good at what I needed. If I would have brought somebody in that was a really good graphic designer earlier, and somebody that was a really good, copywriter, and somebody that was really good at, building digital marketing strategies, I honestly think that I could be farther along, because then I could focus on the public relations and the selling and the building the relationships, because I don't, putting salespeople in place is never proved really successful for me, because no one's going to have the passion about my company like I would. So, it's like one of those things. If you've got the money, I say by all means, bring people in that specialize in what you need and let them do what they do. But I think it's important that you understand what they're doing, understand, and make sure they understand that as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you really have to say, this is the direction we're going and this is how I want to get here. Now you do it, instead of micromanaging. And early on, I was a very serious micromanager, and, I had a lot of turnover, with everything. But that's my client. This is the way I want it. That was my type of personality. But it was micromanagement. And if I'm only hiring people that are, mediocre at stuff, that aren't better than me, then I'm never really going to grow. And it took, it was a growing phase that I have to hire people that are much better than me, not feel threatened by it, and let them, share ideas and don't hamper their creativity.
Yeah, there's a quote, I think, by Jim Rohn or someone, where he says, if you're the smartest person in the room, then you need to leave that room. Yeah. Something like that. But Paul, your business has been successful for the last 15 years. Congratulations. Most statistics, the ones I've read in a way, say that most businesses, 50% of businesses fail within the first 5 years. And you've been successful for way longer than 5 years, 15 years. How did your agency become so successful?
Not doing the same thing over and over and over and saying, that's the way it used to be done, or that's the way we used to do it. And understanding that every business is just like a season. And when I mean a season, that, we have summer, winter, fall, spring, and that you have your ups and you have your downs, but you always have to be reinventing yourself. You have to be coming out and showing how you're different and advancing with times. And we've had many a times, over the 15 years that we were on top and was considered one of the leading agencies, in specific industries. And then there was times that we grew so fast that we lost that competitive edge. So, my point is that there's peaks and valleys. And as long as you stay motivated and you can see trends and see how things are coming and you're willing to reinvent yourself, then you can continue to be successful. Because, just because you make it past that 5-year point doesn't mean you're safe, or you make it past 10 years, you're not safe. It's an ongoing thing. And I've seen many businesses fail because, the owner started to make so much money, and then he or she would just...
They got cocky.
Yeah.
They get overconfident. Overconfident.
Or lazy. Yeah. So any number of things, but yeah, it's just, And it seems like every 3 years we're having to reinvent ourselves.
Yeah. So you mentioned the ability to see trends. How do you spot new trends that are going to come?
Open-minded. I think that's what it is. I mean, and I think I've been very blessed and very fortunate. I mean, because, when I started the company, I didn't have much money. And, in just growing the company, I just would stay open-minded and say, all right, what do we need to change? How do we need to do things differently? And I mean, case in point, for example, a lot of my competitors are talking a lot about Google pay-per-click advertising, and a lot of businesses are saying, I need to be doing Google pay-per-click advertising. Well, honestly, that ship has sailed. And if a business is trying to grow their business with Google pay-per-click advertising, they're going to spend a lot of money. So there's other ways to advertise right now that are more affordable. And that's what I'm trying to share with the companies, like through my weekly vlogs and, my podcast and everything else.
What about Alexa, Amazon Alexa?
With that, I mean, and there's a lot of talk about, audio and audio advertising and going after that. And it's really what it is it's just pulling all of that data together. So you have Alexa in your house or whatever, one of Google's devices or whatever it is. Yeah, granted, it's listening to you, and then it's able to build ad campaigns to you. Same thing though. I mean, with, your smartphone, it's watching everything you do, the locations you visit and everything else. So there's a lot of the advertising that way, but I mean, there's a lot more than just Google pay-per-click to be able to reach consumers with what their interests are.
Yeah, because I read an article that the biggest threat to Google right now, a real big threat to them, is Alexa, Amazon Alexa.
I'd say that's one of them, but I would also say Facebook is right now too.
Yeah, but Facebook and Google, they're different. Facebook is social media. Facebook knows your personal stuff. Google knows what you intend to do.
Well, with Facebook, a smart agency, what they're doing is they have agreements with the big data centers. Like we have an agreement with a number of big data centers. So what that really means, if you just kind of think about this for a moment, that you have that smartphone in your pocket and you're visiting different websites, you're sending emails, you're sending text messages, you're downloading certain apps, you're buying certain things. It's tied to your income because it's tied to your credit score. It's tied to your social security number, where you're paying your bill. So your smartphone has so much information about who you are, what you do, and what you're interested in. But then there's the technology or the data called big data, that there's other people like you that have gone through the same cycle process. In other words, that they've bought the same things. They're around the same, interest. I'm not going to say age, because age doesn't play as a big factor anymore. So you're able to take all of this big data. For example, I can pull a list in my own hometown here. If I want to know everybody that's visited, let's say, a car dealer's physical location, their showroom, and visited automotive websites, I can pull that data in a matter of seconds, and I can know exactly where that person is standing. And I know their first name, their last name, their mobile number, if they have a landline, their email address, how many kids they have, do they own a home, what are their hobbies, what are their interests. And I can have all of that data, and then I can put that into Facebook, and I can target them with my messages. And most people are spending more time on Facebook than they do anything else. So that's the beauty of Facebook, is by doing the advertising. But a lot of times people get confused with Facebook and say, oh, it's a social media site, I need to get on there and post and, try to be, I guess, authentic, or I need to try to be, stand out and from the crowd. And they're thinking about the posting. But what I'm talking about is doing the advertisements on there and building a marketing strategy and attracting people.
So using Facebook for business.
Using Facebook to grow your business. Yeah. I mean, that's, like my own vlog. I mean, my vlog, there was a number of years, with Think Tank Tuesday that I do every Tuesday, that I hovered around 70,000 subscribers. And I said, that's it. I'm going to use Facebook. I'm going to grow it. And it was so quick for me to be able to grow my database to over 200,000. I mean, I did it 90 days by using Facebook. But then I also have a number of clients. I have a client, for example, in Canada that he wanted to sell his business. He said, I got to grow my sales. I don't have a big budget, for budget. I mean, his budget was around $9,000 a month. And all we used was Facebook advertising. And we grew his sales by 32% in 90 days. And it was Facebook. And he tried for, numerous times to try to do it with Google. But with Google, he was spending around $15,000 a month and, he wasn't getting the results. So right now, Facebook is, wow. I mean, the opportunities are great.
And Paul, you help entrepreneurs through their journey. You use your knowledge to help entrepreneurs through their journey. How do you go about in helping entrepreneurs? What are the things you do for them?
Well, the first thing I do is consulting. So we do a call at first. And I mean, it's just a call where we just have a conversation and I ask them some questions. What do they want to do? Where have they been? Where are they going? What's the experience? What are they trying to accomplish? Where do they see themselves? And they tell me all of that. And then that allows me to kind of understand, can I really help them or not? And then if I can help them, then we set up a series of calls, a consulting program, more or less. And I give them, I guess you can say, homework assignments and say, all right, these are the things that you want to do. These are the things you want to look for. And so it's a consulting program. So that's the first part of, what I do. And then the second part is I have training videos. So my training videos are very specific to, individual things that an entrepreneur needs to do depending on their business. So for example, with my training series, if they have a sales team, then I have training videos that helps them how to set up their sales team, how their sales team needs to work the phone, how the sales team needs to do emails and grow their business. Or another program that I have is if an entrepreneur is getting leads, that somebody's phoning leads on their website or through Facebook or LinkedIn or Pinterest or whatever it is, I show them a process. This is a CRM you need to look at. This is the process. This is how you need to follow up. We even talk about pricing, how to raise your prices or how to establish your prices, how to make sure you're not losing money. And yesterday morning, I had a call with this one guy that he's in, where is he? He's in North Carolina, matter of fact, because, so he has a business and his business is he does septic tanks. And he's been advertising for a while on Google and with another company. And so we broke it down. What was his advertising cost? What was his return on investment? And more or less I'm his psychologist, I guess you can say, because he didn't realize that he was spending more to get the leads than what he was getting once he got the lead and turned him into a client. So we really talked about his pricing structure and how he was going to do it and how his website was going to be laid out and his entire marketing strategy to grow his business.
Sounds awesome, Paul. So Paul, if anybody wanted to read your articles or watch your vlogs, where can they find your articles and vlogs? The Forbes blog.
Yeah, just easy. All they have to do is search my name and then a lot of things will come up. I mean, I have thousands of videos that I've done over the years because, like my vlog, I started it about 8 years ago and I do one every single week. But just type in
You're disciplined.
Oh, that's part of having a business. You have to make sure if you decide to do it, you've got to do it.
Whether you feel like it or not, isn't it?
Yeah, you just have to do it. I mean, otherwise, you set a bad example for your employees. And when I started my agency, it was just me. And now, I'm 52 employees and, we're basically, our revenue is in the millions and,
congratulations.
The only way you can do that is by persistence. And if you say you're going to do something, you have to do it. But yeah, the easiest way to find me and find my stuff is just to search for my name, first name being Paul and the last name being Potratz, which is spelled like Potratz with a Z, which is Potratz. And I'm on all the social media sites, LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram.
What about your website? Do you have a website?
Oh, I do. Yeah, I have two of them. I have my agency website, which is my last name, which is Potratz, and then NY for New York. And then I have my personal website, which is my consulting and all that. And that's just my first name, last name. So PaulPotratz.com.
That's great. Paul, I'd like to thank you so much for taking your time to this interview. I really appreciate this, and I enjoyed this interview, and we got so much value from this.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And I would like to thank all the listeners for tuning in. If you know anybody that this interview will benefit, please share it with them. Please also let me know what you think in the comment section and subscribe. And I'm Jamil Jama. This is the Law of Business, and I was PaulPotratz interview. Thank you all very much for listening.